What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Dominic Rich, and I have a guest with me, Football Pharoah. Football Pharoah, how are you doing today?
Pretty good, Dom. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to today's topic.
Well, 6 months ago, I came up with the idea to do a tier list ranking all member associations in CONCACAF and how they stand on qualifying for the upcoming 2022 World Cup in Qatar. And I had a blast with it. And I figured I'll do a follow-up by bringing on a person who I hold in high regard in terms of World Cup qualifying content, international football, and especially CONCACAF, the one and only Football Pharoah. Am I correct with that label?
No pressure on me then. No, yeah, I really appreciate it. And you know me, I love talking about international football, especially World Cup qualifiers and CONCACAF, as we all know, everybody's favorite confederation, including yours truly. And yeah, I can't wait to dive in on this. It should be really fun stuff.
So we have a tier list, but before we get into the tier list, where we are going to rank the teams in the various categories that we are going to get into very soon, let us just go over the CONCACAF World Cup qualifying procedure, and then we will go through the groups and we will go through each team, and we would see where we would put each team in the tier list. I would actually talk about where I put each team, and then I would like to hear where you would put the team. Whether you agree with me or you would put them in a different tier or whatever, you know, it's cool if you have a different, different thoughts in terms of each member association. You don't have to agree with me. Let's agree to disagree here. And the same goes for the people in the comments and the people watching this right about now. So there was an original format for CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers that was announced on July 10th, 2019, where CONCACAF announced a restructured qualifying format for the World Cup. After CONCACAF initially announced in March 2018 that they would use the CONCACAF ranking index to determine the seeding of CONCACAF teams for qualifying to international tournament, it was determined that FIFA rankings would be used instead. Before I even get deeper into this, I don't even think I should go over the old format. Football Pharoah, what do you think about the original format that was proposed by CONCACAF? I didn't like it. What do you think about that?
I'm trying to refresh my memory here.
Let me refresh your memory. There was a top-seeded hexagonal group where the top 6 ranked CONCACAF teams based on the FIFA rankings as of June 2020 were to play home and away round-robin matches in one single group, often referred to as the hexagonal. The top 3 teams would have qualified for the World Cup, and the 4th place team would have advanced to the CONCACAF playoff round. With the playoff round, there would have been a lower-seeded group stage and knockout stage, where the remaining CONCACAF teams ranked from 7 to 35 based on FIFA rankings as of June 2020 were to be divided into 8 groups, 5 groups of 4 teams, and 3 groups of 3 teams to play home and away round-robin matches. The winner of each group would have advanced to a knockout stage consisting of a quarterfinal, semifinal, and a final to be played in a 2-legged home and away series. The winner of the knockout stage would have also advanced to the CONCACAF playoff round. And in the playoff round, the 4th place team in the hexagonal group would have faced the winner of the knockout stage in order to see who advanced for the intercontinental playoffs. I think it was a little redundant, and I think it was a little harsh on those teams outside the hex to go through a grueling playoffs with quarters, semis, and final, only to meet the 4th place team and probably get knocked out.
Right. Yes, I think CONCACAF's intention with this originally was to give the minnows of the region more playing time, because under the old school format the last couple of decades, a lot of these island minnows would just play 2 games, a home and away, before reaching latter rounds of CONCACAF World Cup qualifying. But what this ended up doing was it ended up benefiting the minnows by giving them more time to play. And also it gave a pass to the best teams in the region because they received an automatic bye to the Hex, while at the expense of hurting the mid-tier teams, specifically the sides between 7th in the region and I believe 12th it was. I believe the total number number of games they had to play was something like 22 or 24 based on the group stages of the previous rounds, and then the playoffs, quarter, semis, final, and then that final to get to play the fourth place team from the next, and then after that have to go through an international playoff. It was, compared to the teams that would have received a bye, like Mexico, the United States, Costa Rica, they had to play, I think, almost double the amount of games.
Yeah,
and the only really good thing you could say about it was that for the time being, they would avoid. I guess a team like Canada would not have minded beating up on the likes of St. Kitts and Nevis, but it was still more arduous. It's still a longer schedule.
Yeah, I'm glad they changed the format, to be honest, though, because I think it was a bit too long-winded, and to get into the playoffs, to get knocked out, most likely. We may have seen a Cinderella story of some sort, but there is a new format, and I'm glad that they changed it to this new format where in the first round, CONCACAF teams rank from 6 to 35 based on FIFA rankings of July 2020 are drawn into 6 groups of 5 and play single round robin matches, with group winners qualifying for the second round. In the second round, the 6 first round group winners will play a 2-legged home and away series, and the 3 winners will advance to the final round. In the final round, which is the third round, the 3 second round winners will join the top 5 CONCACAF teams based on the FIFA rankings of July 2020 and play home and away round robin matches in a single group. The top 3 teams qualify for the World Cup, and the 4th place team advances to the Intercontinental Playoffs. Well, this one I think is a lot better because you kind of, you offer a more of a window where instead of a hexagonal, it becomes an octagonal. Am I correct there?
I think more or less, yes. It's certainly an improvement on the previous format, which was way too unrelenting and cutthroat for teams outside the very best in the region. And this also, because of COVID forcing CONCACAF's hand to change the format, this also provides a way for the smaller teams in the region to play more games, as well as give us more games in general to watch. And it also gives us more games for the best teams to play, because one of the options they considered going with before adopting this was having 3 groups of 4, where, the United States, for example, would only have to play 6 games to qualify, but now thus having a much easier road and being given basically a leg up to qualify, has to play, I believe, 14 games under this current format, 7 teams, twice home and away.
Yeah, it is a bit confusing though. So we're going to get to the fun parts. Thanks to everybody who got through that painful part of the video. But we have to make sure when you're watching, you know what's going on. And it's more an informational based video as well as an entertaining video where we're gonna get to the tail list right about now. If you're looking for a gift for the football lover in your family, look no more. Head on over to cardsplug.com to get you one of those lovely football cards you see on the wall right there. You could get yourself a large, a medium, or even a small, or you could supersize it. Take your pick. There's a lot of great designs to choose from, and trust me, you won't regret it. Use the coupon code Dominic Rich FC to get yourself 15% off your orders. All the links will be in the description box down below. So
the flags ready. The flags are ready.
Yeah, man, we got the flags, and we're gonna talk about where I put each team, and I want to hear what you have to say. So the way we're going to do this, we're going to start from the groups, and then we're going to get to the teams already in the octagonal. So we're going to start with Group A football, Pharoah, where in Group A there's El Salvador, Antigua and Barbuda, Grenada, Montserrat, and U.S. Virgin Islands. So to be honest, I think El Salvador are one of the favorites to get out of this group. Grenada has been playing some good football lately, and so has Montserrat. But we're not going to do a group prediction really, but I want to hear your thoughts on, of course, where you put each team. So let's start with the U.S. Virgin Islands. We have will definitely qualify as the top tier here. Very good chance. Outside chance. These are good. These are good. Those top 3 tiers are very good. But then there's not good enough, absolutely not, and too much to ask. So let's start with the U.S. Virgin Islands. We have the U.S. Virgin Islands here, and I put them in the too much to ask section. So where would you put them? Where do you have them right now?
You're telling me the U.S. Virgin Islands will not be world champions in Qatar? I think I just heard an air go out of a balloon somewhere in someone's party. No, yeah, as cool as their sigil is on their flag and them being a U.S. territory, I think that's a perfect label for them. It's too much to ask. It would take something miraculous for them to not just qualify or make it to the octagonal, but to get out of this group, really. So yeah, that's where I would put them.
Yeah, it's not too much to ask, you know. It's way too much to ask, in my opinion. So we're gonna move right on. Montserrat. I know you love this team, and this team have been on the upward surge as of late. They almost qualified for the last Gold Cup. Where would you rank Montserrat right now?
In terms of qualifying for the World Cup, I also have them at too much to ask. I think that they're one of the more improved minnows within the region, if not possibly the most improved minnow in the Confederation in the last couple of years, and would have really liked to have seen them at the last Gold Cup. They barely missed out, but I think that can cause a little bit of a spoiler in this group that they're in. They have a little bit of history with El Salvador. I think they played them in the same group back in the Nations League. But in terms of coming out of this group, and making it to the octagonal and then further qualifying, I think also I rate them higher than the U.S. Virgin Islands, but also too much to ask. I have for Montserrat.
Yeah, I actually have them in the not good enough section because they're not good enough, man. We're talking about World Cup qualifiers here, you know what I mean? This is not Gold Cup qualifiers. We're talking about World Cup. Sometimes it sounds harsh, but you can't be easy on these teams, man. You gotta be ruthless out here. You see what I'm saying? You gotta be ruthless in these streets.
Hey, well, my ranking is apparently more ruthless because I have them in the bottom tier, I believe. Yeah, I have them in too much to ask. So
yeah,
I get what you mean. And we are ranking them in terms of prospects of qualifying for the World Cup, not just coming out of these groups. Yeah, I think it's too much to ask. But they are improved, and they do deserve a lot of respect.
Yeah, that's a little buffer for the Montserrat fans watching this right now. You know, Football Pharaoh is trying to be nice.
Well,
Grenada. Yeah, Grenada, the Spice Boys.
Yes, indeed. I have them in absolutely not in terms of qualifying, but in terms of coming out of this group, I do give them a chance, and I think they pose the biggest threat to El Salvador. Was really impressed with what I saw with them in the Nations League. They got promoted to League A, and for them, playing among the next season among the best teams in the region, and then making it back to the Gold Cup, because I think you remember that doubled as qualification for this Gold Cup. Yeah, they've been on the up as well lately. I think one of their main players, Jamal Charles, I think his name is, he was quite prolific in the Nations League as well. But in terms of getting through an octagonal with the best teams in the region, I wouldn't necessarily say it would take something miraculous, but I think it's I put them a little bit higher than too much to ask. So that's why I have absolutely not.
Yeah, I have them in the not good enough section. Sorry, Grenada, not good enough for the World Cup qualification here. Antigua and Barbuda.
I also have them in absolutely not. I don't rate them as among the worst teams in the region. I think that's reserved for the likes of several of the British island territories. I think they could spring a little bit of an upset, maybe get a surprise result in this group. But in terms of qualifying for the World Cup, I have them more or less on the same level of a Grenada, maybe a little bit below, but better than a Montserrat. What about you? I
have them in the absolutely not category. And someone from Antigua did comment and say that Antigua are better than I actually think. But I think I'm spot on with the absolutely not rating here. I think I am. So let's move on to El Salvador, the final team in the group. What are your thoughts?
I have them as not good enough. Certainly, they should come through this group. They've had a little bit of a habit, though, in the last few years with get a little too close for comfort results against minnows. I think they've actually lost to Bermuda, and they barely beat Montserrat, who is coincidentally also in their group again. They barely beat Montserrat in Nations League qualifying. When they went away to play them, they required an extra time goal to put them away. And they had a very poor performance in the Gold Cup. I mean, well, they started off well, but then they got hammered by Honduras. And when you take into consideration the expanded format of the final round with 6 teams instead of 8, I don't think they have the quality to come through in a top 3 position or a playoff spot.
Yeah, I think it means 8 teams instead of 6.
Oh, yeah. 8 teams instead of 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that's really for El Salvador, including other teams that we'll get to in a moment, that played a role in the difference in how I ranked in these teams in terms of tiers. Because if it was a hexagonal and they made it to the hex, I probably would put them one more category up, like an outside chance, but
yeah,
I don't think they have the quality to go through 14 games. Yeah.
Well said, well said. And I do agree that El Salvador is not good enough. I got a little mix up with the flags there, of course, because we have some similarities in flags as well. So pardon me. Group D, where we have Canada, Suriname, Bermuda, Cayman Islands, and Aruba. Let us start with Aruba, where I have Aruba in the absolutely not category. Where will you put them?
I have them in too much to ask. I don't have much to expand on Aruba. I don't know many of their players on like on a personal level where they ply their trade in terms of club football. But yeah, no, I think they are among, maybe not necessarily the worst teams in the region, but I rank them as it's too much to ask. To expect.
Yeah, I do agree. Absolutely not. So the Cayman Islands. This one will be fun. The Cayman Islands.
Yeah, I have a very loyal Cayman Islands subscriber who is very, very passionate about his team. I have the Cayman Islands as too much to ask. Sorry for saying that, but for similar reasons, as you'll see with a lot of these small island territories, they just don't have the quality, and a lot of that has to do with lack of footballing development and resources and like a stable, consistent season. So yeah, I think it's too much to ask. There's not much else really to say on the Cayman Islands. What do you think?
Yeah, I do agree. I do agree with you. Definitely agree. Nothing to expand on that. Sorry if there's any Cayman Island fans watching this, but
there might be a pattern going.
Yeah, I put them in the absolutely not category, and with these British islands, the flags are so difficult to differentiate, man. Seriously, like it is like, there's a Union Jack and then there's a little thing and I'm like, oh God. Let's move on to Bermuda, another one. Thank God that has a red background.
I feel so mean right now. I feel like my rankings are more ruthless.
Nah, man, bring it on, bring it on. I have Bermuda in the too much to ask section.
Let me see what I have here. I have them in absolutely not. I actually liked what I saw from them. They have a couple of decent quality players. Dante Leverock, Naki Wells. Yeah. They picked up a victory, I think, over Nicaragua at the last Gold Cup. They played Costa Rica in that tournament, Dominic. Very close. Yeah. They lost very respectfully.
They did well. They did well.
They did do well. And I think the group that they're in, along with Canada and Suriname, makes it very, very difficult for them to get into the octagonal. And if their group was a little bit easier, I might even elevate them up to not good enough. But for now, because they're better than some of the more obviously weak teams, I say absolutely not.
We move on to a very interesting team here, Suriname. Thoughts? I have Suriname in the not good enough section, but I've been hearing through the grapevine that they're already recruiting some players from the Netherlands who play in the Dutch league and elsewhere who have Suriname's background. We know players like Van Dijk and Wijnaldum of Suriname's descent, and they have a lot of other players who may not get into the Dutch national team who might actually want to play for, you know, the land of their dads and grandparents and moms and so on and so forth. So where do you have them? Where do you put them? I have them in the not good enough section.
Yeah, I agree. I have them in the not good enough section as well. And yeah, I also heard about the rumors about the expansion to allowing Dutch internationals as well, or dual nationals. I'm not very familiar with the squad itself in terms of the players on it, but I believe they have this one guy, Gleofeo Vleiter, who he absolutely lit up the last Nations League. I think he finished as one of the highest top goal scorers in that, and they qualified directly for the Gold Cup and the next Gold Cup and a Ligue A of the Nations League. So this is a team, along with Bermuda and Montserrat, that I'm looking forward to seeing their trajectory, where they're headed, without having a fully fleshed out opinion on them yet. But because they still have a ways to go, I agree, not good enough.
That's why I have you on. For the people watching right now, that's why I have him here. He is the expert. There is no other person on this earth that has the information and the expertise as football Pharaoh in terms of CONCACAF qualifying and the history. And if we even talk about the UEFA Confederation and the CONMEBOL or the Asian Confederation, he will be equally as good, just so you know. So
I'll always do the best I can. I'll try.
Yeah, you're being too nice. So let's keep the ball rolling, and we move on to Canada, the final team in Group B. We still have quite a few more teams. We have a lot of teams to go through. So if you're watching this video, grab a snack, grab a drink. It will be the longer version of my edition of the tail list. Canada.
Where do I have Canada? I think we might have a disagreement on this here. I'm a little bit more cutthroat.
I have them a very good chance. Where do you have them?
I have them at an outside chance.
Okay, we got to put that there.
And it was difficult to rank them. One of the harder teams to rank. I flirted with putting them in very good chance. But I went with outside chance. And the reason for that is they kind of have a tendency in important games to not really rise to the occasion. They did that in the last two major CONCACAF tournaments. This is the first time that they'll be competing. I mean, if they were to make it into the octagonal, which they should, this would be the first time they would be competing in the main round of CONCACAF World Cup qualifying since 1998. And even though, you know, generations of players change, this is a national team that doesn't have that much exposure to playing those gritty games on the road in Central America in the latter rounds, like the Hex. And I give Canada a lot of respect. I mean, they put us to shame in that game we played in November of 2019 when we went to their home ground and they bossed us around. But I think they still have more to prove. And that's why I say they have an outside chance. But when I say outside chance, it doesn't mean like, you know, at least for me, it doesn't mean like very, very little chance. But I put it at a little bit less than 50%.
Yeah. You're spot on there. You're spot on. But I do think Canada have a great chance, a very good chance, simply because on the strength of Jonathan David, Alphonso Davies, and a few other up and coming, you know, stars that they have amongst their squad there. So you definitely got to look out for Canada. That's just my take. But that's why I have you here, for you to give a different opinion. Group C, where we have Curacao, Guatemala, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which is my island. You know, thank you very much. Cuba and the British Virgin Islands. So let's start with the lowly British Virgin Islands.
Yeah, I think the British Virgin Islands are a bottom 5 team in the Confederation. Sorry, anyone out there from the British Virgin Islands, but I think it's too much to ask, and I have nothing else to say.
I think I actually mixed up the British Virgin Island flag, you know, with but it's fine. You put too much to ask, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I mixed it up with the Cayman Islands flag. It is like so like goddamn close. I'm like. Okay, so I did mix up the flags, but it's same similar looking flags. So we put up the Cayman flag and the U.S. Virgin Island flag there. The British Virgin Island flags. These little islands are very, very difficult to differentiate from, you know, similar flags. I have them in absolutely not. That's where I have them. Absolutely not. Yeah. I gotta be ruthless there. Absolutely not. And you have them in too much to ask. So that's fair. So the next team, Cuba.
Very sad, especially when you look at the stories coming out of a lot of players defecting, especially when they come overseas to the U.S. and in Canada. The whole political situation there, because I do think that when they are at their full potential, they have the ability to cause a stir here and there. But because of what they're going through, and because of just going off a current form of the few games that we've gotten in the last year because of the pandemic, I actually am pretty ruthless. I have them as too much to ask. I have them in the bottom tier, Cuba. And it's not necessarily that I think they're on the same quality as some of these minnow islands, but just where they are right now and the troubles they're having, it's too much, I think.
Yeah, I have Cuba in not good enough. Not good enough. I
Damn,
think
I'm being a jerk.
No. I think the bottom three tiers are like it's kind of not really, like, for example, like absolutely not is above too much to ask. Too much to ask is like I'm being really nice, but it's like at the bottom, and absolutely not is like I'm being ruthless as well. Not good enough. I'm just keeping it real, so it's not per se the bottom rank or anything, but when you go to the top tiers, then you will get more, decisive in the top tiers. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it should be mentioned that this is not a tier rank, just for the people in the audience. This is not a tier ranking of every team in the region's overall quality necessarily, just their chances of qualifying, which are influenced by the groups that they are in. So you can have possibly a team that is not as good as another, but they might have a better chance to qualify because their path is not as tough,
Definitely. So the next team we have is my team, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where I put in the too much to ask section. Remember, for the 2018 World Cup, they did make it to the last 12, I think, and they got battered by the USA, and that was it for them. Bye-bye. And I don't think the team is good enough to even sniff the octagonal. So that's why I put them in the too much to ask.
Well, yes, I also have them in too much to ask as well. St. Vincent are a side I think that really could have booked a spot at the next Gold Cup. You may remember they, I believe, only needed a draw in their last game against Dominica in the Nations League, a team that had lost every single game and got relegated to League C. And St. Vincent were in the driver's seat of that group, and they kind of mucked things up in the end. And they really could have made their first international tournament in 25 years. But
bro, you used the right word. They mucked up, bro. They mucked up.
I was sad about that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it was the perfect opportunities. It's like it was given to them on a platter. Here's the Gold Cup qualification here. But nah. But there is still a chance. Isn't there? There's still a chance, right? Don't they still have a chance to qualify for the Gold Cup? Yeah, I think so.
I think so. They've changed the format for the playoffs.
Yeah. They still have a chance, an outside chance. I think they have to actually play. I can't remember if it's Haiti they have to play. I can't remember, but anyways, back to the World Cup talk. St. Vincent's not good enough for that, and we're gonna move on. Guatemala. Shout outs to all my Guatemalan peeps watching this video. I always mention this. I used to have this Guatemalan chick I used to mess with, So Guatemala and St. Vincent always find themselves together, you know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Wink, wink.
Wink, 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 wink.
I have Guatemala and not good enough. The reason why I don't have them lower is because even though they were playing I believe in League C, the Nations League, that was because they were penalized by FIFA. They had a suspension, so CONCACAF didn't really have a choice but to put them in the lowest tier, and that was not an accurate reflection of their overall quality. And they cleaned house, and they easily got promoted. And Guatemala, they're certainly not one of the strongest Central American teams, but they've been known to get results here and there against the likes of Costa Rica and El Salvador, and even Mexico, I believe. So yeah, I have Guatemala is not good enough, and I think they're good enough though to come through this group. It should be a two-way race between them and Curacao for who gets to the second stage. But in terms of making it to Qatar, I have not good enough.
Yeah, we could all agree that Guatemala will not make their World Cup debut at Qatar 2022. So we're going to move right on to a very, very interesting team, Curacao. And I actually have Curacao put into the outside chance. Where do you have them?
A little ruthless guy. I also have them as not good enough to qualify for the World Cup.
For real?
Yeah, I do.
Even on the strength of what they did recently?
This is one of those things where I think the format hurts them. Remember what I alluded to earlier about how
eight teams, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you have a hex, half the teams exactly make it, and then another team gets a second chance to the playoffs. And I think Curacao on paper are the favorites to come through this, and they would face the winner of Group D, right? Which is the group next to them. I believe that group contains Panama, right?
So the winner of C will face D. Yes, you're right.
Right. So even though they should come through, Guatemala and the rest of the teams in this group, they're very likely to come up against Panama.
Yeah,
which
difficult.
They certainly can.
Yeah, they could beat them.
And then if they can get through that, then they go through the octagonal, where less than 50% of the teams this time qualify directly. So they have a lot of opposition in their way, and this is one of the teams I feel... Oh, it's a fire truck. This is one of the teams I feel that got hurt by it. And
yeah, man, emergency, man. The Curacao, the Curacao fans sent the freaking fire truck, man. They sent the fire truck to you because, you know, I think, yeah, you're right. You know, you're right. But I do still think they have an outside chance. But you're right about your analysis of them coming up against Panama and potentially getting knocked out there. And whenever if they do get into the octagonal, is going to be very difficult against 7 opponents who are ranked higher than you are, and it's going to be tough. We know what Curacao are capable of doing. We know the quality of players they have in their team, and they could recruit more, but it's going to be a tough one for them as well.
Yeah, and that's one that I'm not entirely confident of. I could wake up tomorrow and say, you know what? Yeah, maybe they have like a 10% chance of making it. Maybe.
Yeah. So we're going to keep this one moving, where we move on to Group D, where we have Panama, Dominican Republic, Barbados, Dominica, and Anguilla. And you like to say Anguilla. Yeah.
Anguilla. Okay.
Yeah, Anguilla. So let us start with Anguilla, another British territory, where I'm probably going to mess up the flag again.
It's the one of the Dolphins.
It is. Oh, okay. Yeah. So let's start with Anguilla.
Too much to ask, and I think they are the worst team in the entire confederation.
Wow. Very, very rootless. But I love it. I love it. So we're going to move right on. We're not going to waste any time on Anguilla. Sorry, Anguillan fans here. Dominica.
Let me see where I have Dominica.
Dominica. We like to say. I don't know why I said it like that, but Dominica.
Okay. That creates less confusion when...
Yeah, I actually had Anguilla in absolutely not. So for Dominica, I have them in absolutely not as well. Where are you going to put Dominica?
As I had Anguilla in too much to ask, I have Dominica in too much to ask as well.
Yeah,
there's a lot of teams.
Yeah,
a lot of teams I have in too much to ask.
Yeah, you could have thrown them in absolutely not and not good enough, you know. You're being nice with the too much to ask, though. You're being really nice.
But too much to ask is the lowest tier. So am I being like more like
not really. We could have, I think we have different interpretations of the tier list.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. But it's fine. It's fine. Okay. You know, you're not wrong. I'm not wrong. And you who are watching this, you surely are not wrong as well. You know, your opinion is very, very valid. So please leave one in the comments. Thank you.
Because I think I'm being pretty unforgiving.
Nah, you're good. You're good. So Barbados.
I have Barbados in the lowest tier. I think it's too much to ask. Because for me, too much to ask is pretty much synonymous with, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I have them in too much. I have them in too much to ask as well. So we're gonna move right on to Barbados, who did field an ineligible player for the last Gold Cup and messed up Montserrat, right?
Yes, they did. Horrible.
Yeah. That fairy tale has not been written as yet. So Dominican Republic.
I have them in absolutely not. They picked up a famous victory. I remember I said earlier El Salvador was like underperforming against lowlier CONCACAF sides. Then the Dominican Republic actually defeated El Salvador in the Nations League and presented for a short period of time a viable threat to finish on top of that group. I have been absolutely not. I think they're a better team than they were 10 years ago. It's not the main sport on the island. I think baseball is the most popular sport in the Dominican Republic. I actually know somebody who's Dominican that plays futsal, not professionally, but like a local team in the DR. But I put them in absolutely not. I don't feel the need to be very cutthroat with them at all. What about you?
Yeah, I have them in not good enough. Whereas not good enough, absolutely not, and too much to ask, it just tears to me. And not really a ranking from better to worse, you know? So that's how I interpret that, and that's fine. The last team in the group, Panama.
Panama, you go first this time.
I have Panama with an outside chance of making it to the World Cup after making the debut in the 2018 event.
I have them as well, an outside chance. Along with Curacao, I think they hurt a little bit by having to play more games, especially now being condensed because of these COVID times. So they're going to have to go through three rounds of otherwise I would put them at actually a very good chance to qualify. This is a team that has experience playing in the Hex. They know how to play these very like gritty and rough grinding games. They're a very tricky CONCACAF side. They're not an easy opponent. The US always has difficulty when we come up against them. We usually beat them, but they're a plucky team and they'll be very motivated to make it back to a second successive World Cup. But because of the format, I give it outside chance.
Well said. So that would wrap up that group, which is Group D. Let's move on to Group E, where we have Haiti, Nicaragua, Belize, St. Lucia, and the Turks and Caicos. Let's start with the Turks and Caicos, the only British territory I have left. Where do you put them?
It's too much to ask.
I have Turks and Caicos in the absolutely not category, so we're gonna throw them in the too much to ask there. And we're gonna move on. We do not need to elaborate on that at all. Do you want to elaborate on Turks and Caicos?
I think we are good. They, to put it into perspective, they played against, I believe they got wiped out by Guadeloupe, something like 9 or 10-0 in their group in the Nations League, and Guadeloupe is a team that's not even registered by FIFA. So that's all. And by the way, I am kind of sad though. This is me nerding out a bit. I'm kind of sad that the likes of Martinique and Guadeloupe can't play in these competitions because a side like Martinique is a relatively okay.
Yeah,
Caribbean.
they're good. Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, I don't think they would qualify for the World Cup, but they could do a little bit of damage here and there.
Yeah, but you never know, though. You never know. So the next team is St. Lucia, my wife's country. St. Lucia, where I have them in the absolutely not category. Where do you have them?
I have them at the lowest tier. I do have them at too much to ask.
All right. So any elaboration on St. Lucia?
I don't know very much about the squad in terms of its players. I can only go by recent results. I believe they were relegated, right? From the Nations League.
Let's just conclude that they're not that good. They're absolutely not going to qualify for the World Cup and keep it moving to Belize, where the capital is Belmopan. Big up to the Belizeans watching this. Where do you put Belize?
Boy, I'm sorry. I have them at too much to ask. The lowest tier. The fact of the matter is that at least half the teams in this entire confederation, I love CONCACAF. It actually is my favorite confederation. They just are miles away from ever having a prayer's chance of making it to a World Cup. And it's not intended to be disrespectful or anything, but it's too much to ask. So I put them also in the bottom tier.
Yeah, they're light years away from a World Cup. Nicaragua.
By the way, if this was Africa, this would be a very difficult tier list to make. Because let me tell you, I sweat when I make predictions for like African football because it is so volatile and so all over the place. It's a nightmare to predict. Yeah.
I want to actually do a tier list for each confederation to just a similar one like this. Yeah, we could get that done.
Sure. Yeah.
Definitely can. So, Mr. Pharoah, Nicaragua.
Well, I have them in absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Yes.
I also have them in. I know. I actually have them in not good enough. I have them in not good enough. Yeah, because I don't think they're good enough. I watched them at the last Gold Cup. There was one guy with the long hair. I can't remember his name. He was very promising. Yeah, for Nicaragua.
Domestically, they've been growing. I believe they just sent a team to the upcoming edition of the Champions League of CONCACAF. I think they're called Real Esteli. They're kind of like club royalty in Nicaragua. So, you know, they're developing. But yeah, like you said, they were very poor the last tournament. They were also very poor in the Gold Cup before that. I don't think they've won a single game at the Gold Cup in their entire history. And they're one of the weakest Central American teams, possibly the second weakest team after Belize in Central America.
Well said, well said. And the last team in this group, Haiti. Sac passe to all the Haitians watching this. Where I have Haiti in actually an outside chance. And the reason I have them in an outside chance is that they can come out of their group on top and go through the playoffs and get to the octagonal. I do have them with an outside chance. So I'll let you elaborate on where you have them and, you know, just give us your expert analysis on Haiti.
I have Haiti as well as an outside chance. I came very close to putting them at not good enough because of the path, but I think that they are a very promising side. I liked what I saw with them. I think they made it to the semis. They pushed Mexico to the brink in the last Gold Cup, arguably. I remember you and I were watching that. We had disputes. Like you and I, we both agreed that the penalty was kind of questionable.
Yeah.
They really could have gone to the final.
But before you go on, they play the winners of B. So it could be a Haiti-Canada again. It could be Haiti-Canada.
Oh,
which is,
yeah. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. E versus B.
Can I be on?
Ooh.
I'm gonna have to say not. I'm gonna have to say not good enough.
Ooh.
Then I'm gonna have to change it because I didn't know that.
Wow. Nah, you can't change it. I do. We gotta give them an outside chance because they beat Canada at the Gold Cup. Remember that was a remarkable comeback.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. They came from behind 3-2. Thank you for reminding me about that.
Yeah. So
I'm comfortable with outside chance.
Yeah, that was a memorable performance, by the way. So we're going to move on to the final group in the first round. And we have Group F, where there's Trinidad and Tobago, St. Kitts and Nevis, Guyana, Puerto Rico, and the Bahamas. Let's start with the Bahamas.
The Bahamas I have at too much to ask, the bottom tier.
Yeah.
For a while, they were considered by many to be very close, if not the worst team in the region. I believe at one point in the FIFA rankings, they were ranked either dead last or very close to it.
Yeah, I remember that.
But they got promoted to League B of the Nations League next season because I think they finished ahead of Bonaire and some other team. I forgot. The British Virgin Islands. But it's just too much to ask. I have nothing else to elaborate on. What do you think?
I have the Bahamas in absolutely not. And I leave it right there. Okay. Puerto Rico.
Bottom tier. Too much to ask.
Same here. It's just like the bottom tier is perfectly where it's supposed to be because you don't want to be too harsh with absolutely not and not good enough. So you just say, a little bit too much to ask, man. You know, just leave him alone. He don't know what he's doing. Just pity him. It's cool. You see what I mean? So,
kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little
So
bit.
that's where I have them. So Guyana.
Guyana's interesting because of the fact that Trinidad and Tobago are going through a really bad funk. I elevated them from absolutely not to not good enough because I think they are good enough to possibly come through their group and make it to the second round of qualifiers. And they even have a chance to come through that. And I think they have an outside chance to make it into the octagonal because the winner of Group F plays the winner of Group A. And as you know, I don't trust El Salvador. So
you might be onto something here.
The door is open for Guyana. It's open. So
it's also open for Trinidad and Tobago if they want to take it.
It sure is.
But we know they've been flip-flopping lately.
Yeah, they've been struggling greatly. We played them the last 2 times we played them. I think we scored a combined 13 goals because we beat them 6-0 at the Gold Cup, and then we beat them last month in a friendly like 7-0 or 6-0, something like that.
So when Football Pharaoh is saying we, he means the US of A. Both of us live in the USA. Football Pharaoh's original team is Egypt. My original team is St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and hence his name Pharaoh, with the Egyptian, background and everything. Just some more information on my expert guest here. So we're going to move right on. Where we have St. Kitts and Nevis. I actually have, before we move on, I have Guyana in absolutely not, though. And I have St. Kitts and Nevis in the not good enough section. Where would you put St. Kitts and Nevis?
Wow, we have a first time here. We have, with me, you being more ruthless on a team than I am, with putting Guyana in the absolutely not category.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting break there. I have St. Kitts and Nevis in absolutely not.
So wait, before we go on, you do have Guyana in the not good enough section, right?
Yeah, I have Guyana in not good enough.
So St. Kitts would be in the absolutely not section for you.
And they would be too much to ask, along with St. Vincent and St. Lucia. But again, I refer to
the group. Yeah.
The group. Yeah.
Yeah. So the last team in the group before we move on to the Hex, the real deal, the Hex, the teams already in the Hex, the 5 teams. You could see them left at the bottom there. I actually, let me see. There's 7 teams left down at the bottom. I actually forgot to move Curacao. Where did we put Curacao?
I had Curacao not good enough.
Yeah, I have them in the outside chance. So yeah, I forgot to move Curacao. Oops. It's fine. So
you done goofed.
I done messed it up. The last team there, Trinidad and Tobago. Where do you have them?
Yeah, I have them at not good enough. Me too. Yeah. You said it really well. I think you were spot on when you said that they can take it if they want to. They can get their act together. They have the experience of playing in a Hex. They've qualified for a World Cup this century. They can be, a real menace on their day. They prevented us from qualifying for the World Cup in Russia. But overall, based on their form, I have not good enough. I think absolutely not would be, and lower would be a little bit harsh.
Yeah, I agree. So after the group stages, there will be the second round where the winner of each group will play each other, and then they'll go through, to the third round to meet the teams already in the octagonal, where we have Honduras, the USA, Costa Rica, Mexico, and Jamaica. Let us start with the octagonal. Let's start with Honduras here. Honduras, where do you have Honduras? I have Honduras with an outside chance, even though they're already in the octagonal, seeing that they haven't been there at their best. And, with an outside chance, I will give them the furthest to get to the playoffs and actually get into the intercontinental playoffs like they did in the last edition of the qualifiers, where I think they lost to Australia. Right? Am I correct with that?
Yeah, they did lose to Australia.
Yeah, so I think the furthest they could possibly reach is the playoffs and probably lose to an AFC team again. So where do you have them?
I agree. I have an outside chance. And it kind of left a sour taste in my mouth that they were placed in an automatic bye to this round and ahead of a team like Panama, who I rate higher than Honduras, especially given the fact that Panama played in the last World Cup, and also Panama, even go back to recent competition. They have been in better shape than Honduras. Honduras, they were eliminated the last Gold Cup. I think they bowed out before the final match day. They lost both their first 2 games, and then they got a compensation win. And also Panama in general, in terms of like the region, they just tend to be a better side.
You mean Honduras?
No. I'm comparing them to Panama.
Okay. My bad.
Meaning in the 5 teams that like got a bye, I think that 5th team, like a passage to I think it should have been Panama instead of Honduras, because I rate them higher personally than Honduras, basically.
Okay. So we're gonna move right on to Costa Rica.
We finally break through to the top tier. You go first.
Well, the thing about these teams who are already in the octagonal, we cannot put them in the not good enough, absolutely not, nor too much to ask sections, because they have a chance already by being in the octagonal. So they would have to be in the outside chance, very good chance, or will definitely qualify section. For Costa Rica, I put them in the very good chance section, because I still think they are still a competitive unit. Keylor Navas is still around. I think he only comes out for the big games. And I could remember recently, I think they played Curacao, if I'm not mistaken, and Keylor Navas was like, I think they played Haiti or one of them teams, and Keylor Navas was the hero in the game. So he is Costa Rica's savior. So I have them in the very good chance. Not will definitely qualify, because I only have one team in the Holy Grail section there, and I will reveal that team when we get there. And let's see who you put in that section too. But where do you have Costa Rica?
I agree. I think it's very difficult to put them in any other category than very good chance. If CONCACAF were to have like a holy trinity, it would be USA, Mexico, and Costa Rica. Costa Rica, even when they don't make it to the World Cup in an off cycle, they're always there or thereabouts. And they just have that pedigree. I think they're consistently a very footballing rich country, both internationally and at the club level. And they've only missed 1 World Cup, I believe, in the last going on 20 years now. That was 2010. They have been going through a little bit of the throes of a little bit stagnation. I think they recently fired their manager in 2020, Gustavo Matosas. They also kind of dither here and there in regional competitions. For some reason, they've only gotten to the latter stages of the Gold Cup once. This is actually a real statistic. It's actually kind of freaky. They've only reached 1 Gold Cup semifinal in the last 11 years, I think, which was in 2017. They just don't perform well. But they kick it up into a higher notch in World Cup qualifiers, and they always either make it because they have that pedigree and experience. So
Keylor Navas. That's why. You know what I mean? It's hard to score on them. That's why. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they always have some talented players. Brian Ruiz have been playing well for them over the years. Joel Campbell as well. Yep. And a lot of other names that we don't need to get too deep into, but they have been, having their struggles with the managerial position, as you mentioned earlier. But we're gonna move on.
And they always produce decent players over the years. Remember Paulo Wanchope and
he was a Centeno. He was a Man City player though, Paulo Wanchope. So big up to the boy Wanchope. Wasn't Wanchope the manager just the other day? Wasn't he?
He was manager of them for a brief time in the last few years. I don't remember. I don't know where he is now.
Yeah, he was. But let us move on to the next team here. Jamaica. Right. I have Jamaica in a very good chance. I am very bullish on Jamaica right now, and there've been a lot of news lately about them recruiting a lot of dual nationals who are based in England and let's say the UK, and that's gonna be a big boost for Jamaica, man. If they do manage to recruit as many as possible, and have them within the squad and have them gel for these qualifiers where they're gonna, the games are gonna be very competitive. It's not gonna be playing amongst the minnows or anything. It's gonna be very competitive, and they have to gel fast. And that's my only issue with Jamaica bringing all these players in, is the team gelling and the local players, kind of everything being cohesive. What are your thoughts on Jamaica?
Yeah, it's well put. It is well put. I have them a very good chance as well. And to put my cards on the table, I hope they do qualify, because I think they represent the Caribbean's best chance of making it back to a World Cup. My thoughts on Jamaica right now is I think they are approaching this. They are very serious about making it back to the World Cup. They sense this. And like you said, they're bringing in a lot of young players in. They're trying to find that chemistry. Theodore Whitmore right now, this is a project they are undertaking. And I think they look very promising. They have a lot of talented guys in their squad. Shamar Nicholson, Damian Lowe, Kamar Lawrence. They've reached the latter stages. They've gotten finally a sort of consistent string of results. You look at regional competition, the last 3 Gold Cups, they reached 2 out of those 3 finals. They got to the semis in the last edition. They were kind of, to borrow a phrase from your vocabulary, when someone's like playing games, they kind of like should have done better in the Nations League, because I think if you remember, they were, for some reason, they messed up qualifying and they were put in League B.
Yeah.
That should have never happened. That should have, they are a League A caliber side through and through. And I'll go one step further and say I think they are the 3rd best team in the region right now.
Yeah. Remember there's also quality of Leon Bailey, and there's a few other guys that plays in Europe, and they could get Mikel Antonio. If they get Mikel Antonio that plays for West Ham, this guy is a beast. If they get Antonio, they would actually have someone up top who has an eye for goal and who could bully defenders. They need that. And I would really love if Jamaica makes it to the World Cup in 2022. So we're going to move right on to the last 2, the big guns. And we are going to go with Mexico. We're going to leave the USA for last. Mexico, where I have them in the will definitely qualify section. That's where I have Mexico. But I have to put in a little asterisk there. Unless they rotate and they want to experiment. That's the only how I could see Mexico messing up. Because when they do play the weaker squads, when they do play the weaker sides, they give the other teams a very big chance of defeating them. Didn't Jamaica recently beat Mexico in the Gold Cup? Remember?
Yeah, they did. 2017.
Exactly. So there you go. There you go.
Mexico should qualify. I have them in will definitely qualify. And this current squad, this current edition of them under Tata Martino, I think that they can go undefeated. Actually, I think they can get a record number of points in qualifying. And, it's funny we talk about Mexico because I put out a stat a couple of months ago in terms of where they are in the FIFA rankings. They're really high up right now in the FIFA rankings. And because of the fact they're playing a lot of CONCACAF opposition, it gives them a chance to amass points. There's a very real opportunity for them to be seeded in pot 1 for the World Cup. And you know how usually World Cups are? There's always like one team that's seeded that's like a team that you would not expect to be seeded.
Yeah,
usually because the FIFA rankings they're not perfect.
Poland.
Yeah, but Mexico looked very serious. I do share your concern about them playing to the level of their opponent. They rose to the occasion against Germany in the World Cup, and then they shat the bed against Sweden. That almost cost them. And honestly, that team under Osorio really could have gotten to the quarters that year, because if they had avoided Brazil, what, you think it's funny?
Yeah, I love when you said shat the bed, though. I love that. I love it.
But no, but seriously, the last 2 World Cups, Mexico's had an opportunity to break that barrier that they always wanted to do, that they want to get to El Quinto Partido, that 5th game.
Yeah.
And I think they've only lost once or twice in the last 2-3 years under Tata since he came in. And I think they could be a very serious team in Qatar to make it to the last 8. They should qualify, and yeah, they will qualify.
Yeah, I share the same sentiments. And the last team we have, the US of A, the United States of America, where I have them in a very good chance. I'm not going to throw them up next to Mexico simply because there's also that doubt where selection could be an issue. Selection could be a problema. Selection. Simply because I think Berhalter might go in with some guys, you know, you'll be like, why not go with this one? And then he goes with this one, and then you're like, okay, like, you're definitely not going to qualify now, you know? So the fact that you have 8 teams in there as well could pose a threat because teams are going to be hungry, man. And coming up against USA, they're going to want to bring their A game. The USA have to be very, very careful here. There's only 3 automatic spots. You don't want that playoff spot to play against a team from Asia because who knows, you might end up getting Iran. The way Iran, and we have to talk about Asia. We have to talk about Asia. That girl, Asia, man, you know, she been giving me some problems lately. We got to talk about Asia. But, the USA football, Pharoah. Talk to me about the USA, and then we'll wrap things up.
So I don't think they have as great of a chance to qualify as Mexico does. And I was going back and forth between will definitely qualify and very good chance, but I have to say I'm feeling optimistic. I know that the last few fixtures have only been friendlies, but if you've watched them or seen highlights, we've been tearing it up against other teams in the region, against the likes of El Salvador and Panama and Trinidad and Tobago. And these are some of these teams we might have to come up against again in qualification.
Yeah.
I think Greg Berhalter is someone who likes to rely too much on some players that are not best fit. Like you said, sometimes he puts a little bit too much faith in the likes of like Christian Roldan or Will Trapp, who had a more prominent role in the squad.
Exactly.
Prior to him coming in.
These are the things I'm talking about. You know what I mean? These players,
right.
You know, these players are like, okay, why? You know what I mean? Why go with this player? You know, but the squad, they have a really good squad now. Football, Pharoah. There's the likes of Giovanni Reina.
Yep.
You know, the likes of wait, didn't Sergino Dest pick the USA too?
Yes, he did. Gio Reyna, Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams, Yunus Musa,
Christian Pulisic.
Yep.
Oh wait, oh no, what about Reggie Cannon?
Yeah, Reggie
and
Cannon.
That guy playing in the championship, I think, named Daryl DK.
Daryl Dyke,
yeah, Daryl Dyke, DK. He's been scoring some goals down in the English lower leagues there as well. So there's a lot of players to work with, though.
And we also have some players that were coming up from the under-20s as well, like Sebastian Soto and Nicolas Joaquini. I think the guy that plays for Barcelona B, Conrad de la Fuente.
Yeah. Chris Richards.
Yes, sir. Yep. So
and there's another player. I can't. What's his name? Damn. There's another little striker. There's a lot of players, man. There's a lot of players. There's a lot of players coming through.
And I have to say, as an American soccer fan, like, it feels good. Like, I feel, even though I don't think Berhalter is the best the U.S. could have had as a manager, he can be a little bit too rigid sometimes and not change things up until his back is against the wall. Because he's very insistent on like a playing out of the back system. I don't know if you know that. That's how. You're gonna
get yourself in trouble wanting to pull off the Pep Guardiola style, man. You know, look.
Yeah,
a lot, you know, but one thing they could benefit from is that Zach Steffen is at Man City. They will definitely benefit from that one. But I think he should. There's a lot of players. There's Anthony Robinson at Fulham. He's been playing well. There's a lot of players in the setup. And when I said the problem could end up being selection, and I mean that. It could end up being selection. And we have qualifiers. We do have qualifiers coming up this month in March, right? Or were they postponed?
No, I think for CONCACAF, it was pushed up to June. There's a lot of action going on in the latter half of this year in CONCACAF. We have the Nations League finally wrapping up, the Gold Cup and World Cup qualifiers.
Mm-hmm. So, let me see. I'm just checking the schedule here. Yeah. March. There is March.
Oh, there is?
There is March. Yeah.
But for the first round, right?
Yeah. There is March qualifiers. Round one, yeah. There is March. I actually want to do some predictions for that as well. So if you're watching this video right now, be on the lookout for the predictions as well, and go check out all the other fun World Cup content. Make sure you check out Football Pharaoh's channel. A link would be in the description box down below. But in terms of the USA, where are you going to put them?
I'm feeling good. And to wrap this up, the squad rotation questions that you mentioned, that's a good problem to have. It's a good problem because it means there's an abundancy. We actually, for the first time in a while, I think, really have depth in this team. And I think the young guys are hungry. I think we feel embarrassed that we missed the last World Cup because we knew that we should have been there.
Yeah.
And also taking that into consideration and the fact that I've been feeling for a while that the Confederation as a whole, I think, has dipped a little bit. So because some of these teams, especially in Central America, are like going through like the works. And so are we. But I think we're going to qualify. And I don't think I'm not as confident about it as Mexico, but I think we're going to qualify. And I have the US in definitely will qualify.
Well, football
I'm pissed
Pharaoh.
off. I'm pissed off. I gotta be optimistic. I'm three years of depression. I'm pissed. We gotta qualify, and I want us to curb stomp our way to qualification.
Yeah, I could remember the day when the USA failed to qualify. Man, those were some very good goals as well. Very good goals. I'm telling you. Was it Tim Howard in goal
back in 2017?
Yeah. And how did he get beaten from those goals? Was some worldies
against Trinidad, you mean?
Yes.
The final game? Yeah.
There was one goal where one of the Jones brothers scored from like way out.
I remember.
I think it was Sherwin Jones. I think his name was, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that was the second goal because the first goal, I think Omar Gonzalez made. Had
a mistake.
Big mistake, yeah.
Yeah.
Omar Gonzalez at the back. I feel bad for
him. Listen, America, the USA shot the bed back in Trinidad and Tobago,
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was fun. This is a longer version, of course, of the first video I did, the successful tail list video I did, but this is a more analysis based. So for those of you guys who actually watched this video and got to the end, you're the real MVP, because we also have to cater for the people who enjoy the long form content. And Football Pharaoh, you and I enjoy long form content, watching it and making it.
Yes, sir. Yes, we do. I really appreciate going in depth on this and seeing our own thoughts about where the region is and what potentially lies ahead in terms of every team's prospects of making it to the World Cup in Qatar 2022. And it's always a pleasure. It's always fun doing it. So thank you for having me on, as always.
It's been a while. It's been a while since you've been on the channel. It's been a long time. But the last time we did this was for World Cup qualifiers for 2018. It was actually in 2018 where we met in person. We met up and we did this. So now we're actually having a head start where we're talking about qualifiers, and we're going to keep this partnership going and going and going, and until the grand final, where God spare our lives, that we will also collaborate on content during the World Cup, seeing that we have great platforms like StreamYard now, where it becomes very easy to sit in your basement or stand in your garage like Mr. Football Pharaoh is doing right now. and do this and talk about the sport that we love so much and the confederation that we all love, the CONCACAF region. So guys, I'm your boy Dominic Rich. That's Football Pharaoh. A link to his channel will be in the description box down below. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. Like the video if you like it. And until next time, peace out. Rich Squad. Football Pharaoh. All right. Lovely.